Okay, good morning everyone, a good Chodesh, and welcome to a very special shir this morning. And I was in Eretz Yisrael a few months ago, and one of my highlights is always davening Neitz at the Kaisel Hamaravi, early in the morning with all the tzaddikim that are there coming to daven. And I found that this year, normally there's taxis that are always coming every single morning. It's easy to get a ride back to the apartment. But this year, for some reason, it wasn't like in regular years where the taxis are always coming down. Hard to get a taxi in the morning. So I realized if I want to get a ride back from the Kaisel, I'm going to have to call the taxi company myself and order a taxi to the Kaisel. So I called Bar Ilan and I ordered a taxi, and right away they say, Sholeach, it's sent, nothing to worry about, the taxi's on its way. 10 minutes, 10 dakot, 10 dakot, 15 dakot. 20 minutes later, finally I see a Bar Ilan taxi pulling up. He has passengers, and the passengers are about to get out. And I look, I say, my taxi is, come. So at that moment, the taxi company just called me, because that's the new thing they do. They have such good courtesy now. They call to make sure that you're actually waiting for the taxi. I said, oh, he's right here. He said, you Bo? I said, yeah, he's here. He said, okay, fine. So the taxi lets everybody out, lets me in, and we start driving away into the sunset. And suddenly I hear a knocking on the window of the car. And I look up, and there's this very friendly rabbi standing at the window, and he says, that's my taxi. I said, no, it's my taxi. He said, Bar Ilan. I said, yeah, I called Bar Ilan, it's my taxi. He said to the taxi driver, which telephone number do you have? So the taxi driver says the telephone number, and guess what? It was this nice rabbi's telephone number. It wasn't mine. I said, okay, it's not my taxi. I guess the other one is coming on the way. So I said, before I got out of the car and left stranded by the Kaisel, I said, by the way, Rabbi, where are you going? He said, I'm going to Ramat Eshkol. I said, great, so am I, so let's go together. He says, no problem, we'll go together. He, Baruch Hashem, was learning with a chavrusa of his, so I got out of the back seat, they got in the back, I went in the front. About halfway through the ride, the chavrusa gets out of the car, and then we turned to each other, Shalom Aleichem, what is your name, what is your name? Oh, Rabbi Travis, you're like a legend, Rabbi Travis. I know exactly who you are. I have your svarim, I have books, I've told stories from you. I have friends who learned about you 20 years ago, and people that say that, Rabbi Travis, you changed their life in Torah and Avodas Hashem. So he's like, well, what do you do in Los Angeles? I said, I have a shul. He says, you're a rav of a shul? You have to come and speak in my kollel. I was like, okay, he's being very nice to me, he doesn't know me, come. He said, no, come. He says, I'm training Rabbanim to go out and be mashpi on Klal Yisrael, and we learn a lot that's inside the Shulchan Aruch, but we need people to tell us practically what's going on out there on the front lines. So this was a Friday morning after the Kaisel, and I thought he was going to forget about it. I had a lot going on. I didn't think it was going to happen. Motzei Shabbos, I get an email. So we'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. And sure enough, I was zeicher to speak in his wonderful, wonderful kollel to a group of eager young men that are going out into the field of Rabbanis to have an impact on Klal Yisrael. And you're about to hear a story that probably you're going to think he's making up. It's going to sound like some Hollywood wonder story, like a blockbuster bestseller. It is fascinating beyond belief. I guarantee you that every word that he's saying is true. And the takeaway, as we're going to see, is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can send you a lot of things in life. But it all depends with what you do with those things that Hashem sends you. You think you're getting into the wrong taxi? You actually got into the right taxi. You think somebody else got in your taxi? It's actually that person belonged in your taxi. And it's what you do with the different maneuvers that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends your way is what's going to make you a Gavra Rabbah, a great person in this world or not. It's really an honor and it's a pleasure to have Rabbi Travis with us today. And without any further ado, Rabbi Daniel Travis Shlita.
How long am I speaking for?
As long as you like. Okay. This captivating audience first thing in the morning.
Very good. Sunday. Good standing. After such an introduction, I have no words. but I do have a lot of words, so I will share them with you. And the rabbi said I'm going to tell a story, so I'll start with a story. My wife is from a place called Rio de Janeiro. You ever heard of it? Rio de Janeiro, right? So in Rio de Janeiro, they have something called banditos. You never heard of banditos? Banditos are the guys, their parnasa is robbing people. Anyway, my wife and I got married, Baruch Hashem. There was a slight niche before the wedding, is that my father-in-law passed away. It was Tisha B'Av. I was about to go to shul, and I get a phone call from my wife's aunt. Your father-in-law passed away. So I made a calculation. Let's see, we're supposed to get married in 3 days, and an Avel is not allowed to get married in 7 days. 7-3, it doesn't work. We're not getting married. So I called up my Masada Kedushin. He came over. We went to Rosh Hashanah Zalman Auerbach. And Rosh Hashanah Zalman Auerbach was a very unique person. He had like a bit of sense of humor, right? He said, what's the problem? Just don't tell her. Just don't tell her that her father died. Now today, like it wouldn't work, with WhatsApp and emails and iPhones and this and, in 5 seconds, the whole world's going to know. But in the old days, you all remember the old days, remember? Before there were smartphones, I'm staying in a place here that had Beatles records, like it dated me, But a record, like that's the thing that goes around with the records. Anyway, so she didn't know about it. We got married. She didn't know. Everybody in the wedding was crying. Everyone else knew. She didn't know. And then, Baruch Hashem, it lasted for 7 days. We had Sheva Brachas. I went to Brazil. And in Brazil, I went to the beach to be Tovel. It was El. And I met 2 of these banditos. They started to choke me. One guy was choking me. He put my head in the sand. And the other guy was looking through my stuff and saying, no money, amigo? What, you don't have any money, my friend? I'm glad I was his friend. I feel bad for his enemies. But Lamaisa, a minute passed, 2 minutes passed. It was just about 3 minutes, and I realized, wow, I went to a prestigious science high school, and we learned there that if you don't breathe, you die. Okay, so I wasn't breathing, so I'm going to die. So suddenly, it was like my last moments of life. I remember this Gemara says, if you think Ein Od Milvado, nothing will bother you. And that thought came into my head, and they just ran away. And they screamed Mafia of Brazil. Okay, Baruch Hashem, I always say, a New Yorker, you have point A and point B, and you just go. So I went to be Tovel. I was Tovel. I went back to my mother-in-law. She said, did anything unusual happen? Oh, no, not so much. Just someone tried to kill me, I hear that's pretty commonplace in Brazil. But the point is like this. Our whole year went like that. Every week we had an experience like that. We bought an apartment. It turned out it didn't exist. We built a sukkah. Erev Sukkos, I get home. It's on the floor, right? They said, well, it was ugly. It marred the neighborhood, so we tore it down, And also you stepped on one of my flowers. That's like Yarg Val Yavor in this neighborhood. Don't step on flowers. Meningitis, pneumonia, we had a fire. I'm sitting in the base of Medrash, and suddenly a kid comes up to me and says, I have something to tell you. Oh, what's that? Your house is on fire. I better go home. I go home, ambulances, fire trucks. It was a crazy year. But my Hashem, we were Zocha to have a daughter that year. We have someone here who knows my daughter very well, Mrs. Burson, right? So she was born, hospitalized many times. I think, now everything's over, I'm going to make a kiddush. All of these troubles are over. I go to, I'm going to buy food for the kiddush. I'm crossing the street, and there's a car in the wrong lane because he wanted to save some time. And he realized he's about to hit a truck. Car, truck wins, right? This game with this and this. So the truck wins. And so what did he do? So he made a quick swerve to the left. I happened to be standing there, wrong place at the wrong time, or right place at the right time. And he hit me. He threw me about 3 meters in the air. I landed head first. And then I was run over by the truck, right? Which I'm not completely, because then that would be. But it was on my body. So they declared me dead on the spot, and they took me to Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital. And then suddenly I came to, they said, you have nothing to worry about. You're in the best hospital in Israel. That's when I got really worried. Yeah. In any event, they took me straight to a giant room with a giant CT, and they checked my head. There was a brain there, Baruch Hashem. They found it, and it was not too small. But the doctor said, I don't understand, nothing, no damage. It can't be, it's impossible. You can't take a 3-meter head-first dive on the concrete. But I don't believe in God, so I don't know what to do. It must be a miracle. In any event, So this was our Shana Rishona. I skipped about 95% of the story because I don't want to get too gory. But it was just like perplexing, like after all of these things. Now, I myself, I'm a Baal Tshuva. I went to public high school. I was training for the Olympics. Yeah, I was supposed to go to Yale University. I dropped everything. I dropped the Olympics. I dropped Yale. I dropped everything. I come to Yeshiva in Israel. I think this is the way God treats me. Like, what's going on? This is not. And they have an expression. Maybe do any of you know Hebrew? It's zelo fair. So you know what that means? It's not fair. By the way, you know how to say a front axle in Hebrew?
Front axle.
Right. Well, the word for back axle is back axle, and the word for front axle is back axle kadmi. Right? The front back axle. Right? It's okay. You figure it out. But the point is like this. So what's going on here? How can it be? And this was really bothering me. Just one thing after the other. No time even to breathe. So what am I going to do? So what I started to do is I started to go to different Gedolim. First one I went back to Rosh Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, who told us the wedding psak, and I told him my story. I was very passionate about it. Yeah, and he said to me, I said, so what should I do? He said, Ani lo yodea, aval ani ma'od merachem alecha. I don't know, but I really feel for you. He took my hand and he started crying. I didn't feel so upset anymore. It was amazing. The biggest rabbi in the world feels my pain. That was unbelievable. It reminds me of Rabbi Harwitz a little bit. But the point is like this. The point is that, but I still didn't solve my problems yet. I went to many, many rabbis, very big rabbis, of Shlomo Volba. I went to Rav Yosef Shalom Yashiv. I went to, many, Rav Shimshon Pincus, many, many big rabbis. I didn't quite, we went to this Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Fisher. He gave us an amulet to put around my wife's neck. It didn't help so much. And I was like, how do we stop this? This is just too much. I feel like Job over here. So finally I met up with the rabbi, and I'm going to give out these cards now because you're going to appreciate this. This is a gift. Let's see. Can someone come and take this and give a few to the ladies? Right? This card. Okay. This card has a lot of important information, including how you could donate generously to our call. I'll speak about that later. But in addition to that, it has a so I'll tell you what happened. This is a really interesting story. I went to this Rabbi Shlomo Brevda, and I started telling him my problems. And one day I came to him, I said, that's it, I'm finished. I can't take it anymore. I'm officially poshet regel, they call it. Okay, so he says to me this, very, very smart rabbi, come back tomorrow, the answer to all your problems. I'm like, wow, what is it going to be? But he was very smart because I had to think about 24 hours. What is he going to say? What's he going to do? Take out some secret amulet or this, or do a Kabbalistic incantation. Anyway, he comes back the next day. He said, the answer to your problems is tefillah. I'm going to write you a special tefillah, and you're going to get better. Definitely, things are going to get better. And it did. It got incredibly better. And I asked him, can I print this tefillah? He said, it's patented. It's patented. Yeah. But it's right over here on this card, on the other side of the card where my picture is. Tefillah from Rav Shlomo Brevda, and the main thing was rachamim. This is the main point. I'll read it to you in English. Even though I'm not worthy, you ask at the end of Shemona Esrei what you need, right? And then you say, even though I'm not worthy of making such requests, don't send me home empty-handed, for I'm pleading to a broken heart. In tremendous kindness, your incredible mercy, I put all my trust. May your heart rejoice in your salvation. That's the main thing, to ask for mercy. To ask for mercy, okay? And that was unbelievable. Okay, so that was one thing. I learned about the power of tefillah. I started writing books. I wrote some books about tefillah, but that's not really the message I want to come to tell you today, yeah? Because, okay, so we all have problems. Maybe I had bigger problems. My question is so what do you do with the problems, right? We have problems, so what should you do with it? How can you gain from it, right? And that's kind of a strange word to use. But what I realized eventually, what hit me like the truck, is that it's an unbelievable gift. Every single situation we have is an unbelievable gift, but it's in wrapping paper, right? The Zohar says a very interesting thing, and it's a very powerful line. Lefi rova choshech rova or. The more darkness there is, the more light there is. God sends presents, but they're very well wrapped. You ever have a pomelo? A pomelo is like a delicious fruit, but has tons and tons of peel on it. You have to get the peel off. It's the same thing. When God sends us presents, when Hashem sends us presents, He puts a lot of darkness around it. And we have to break through the darkness, and then we get to the light. And the idea is like this. Every single thing that Hashem does is tempered with infinite mercy. Infinite. Yeah? We say, Hu heitivu meitivu yeitiv lanu. He's always doing good for us, right? Poseach es yodecho masbir l'chol chai ratzon. Open up your hands, let go, and He'll take care of everything you need. Hashem is infinitely merciful. Can someone give me a siddur? Can you read that siddur? Yeah? We say in Psukei D'Zimra every day, yeah? And I see here they daven pretty slowly. That's good. Some shuls, like, I don't know how I can finish Psukei D'Zimra in 3 minutes. Like, even if you move your lips, like, okay, but some people do it. Kol hakavod. They must have speed training classes. But Lamaisa, we say every day in Psukei D'Zimra, it's Kuf Mem Zayin. We say like this. It says, God la'aneinu rav koyach, l'sunaso ein mispar. Right? Hashem is very great and He has a lot of strength. L'tzvunaso ein mispar. So what does that mean? It means Hashem's IQ is infinite. Right? You get a smart guy, 190, 200 IQ. Hashem's IQ is infinite. Every single thing He does to anybody is with infinite wisdom. That's exactly the best thing possible. It couldn't be any better. In fact, Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu when he's by the sneh, the place where you are is Kodesh. Take off your shoes. Says the Chavetz Chaim, wherever Hashem puts you in life, it could be in Brazil with some ganavim, it could be in front of a car that's about to swerve, it could be other places, I found myself in life, even in Tarzana, California, it could be, wherever Hashem puts you, it's there, you're there, because that's a holy place. Because Hashem put you there. One of my Rebbes, Rav Dan Segel, he says, no thing is mikrim. Things don't happen. There's simot. You're placed in this situation. Hashem places us in situations, and there's always something good there, right? It's just hidden, right? We have a big problem, is that there's something called time, and we're trapped in time, right? If I could see 32 years ago when I had that accident, right, that this is what would be. Since then, I put out 32 books. Every year I put out a book, and I started a kollel, and I did many, many things, writing for newspapers, articles, 2,000 share, 20 time, and the impetus, it was a strong impetus, like really a push in the air, 3 meters. But all of that came from this. Every single thing that happens, without exception, there's some good hidden in it, but we just don't see it. Now, you're going to ask me, well, what about the Holocaust? What about this? What about... There are things that we just can't touch. They're just too difficult, right? I'm not going to be nichnas. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about 95% of the things that happen in your life. I'll give you a good example. The rabbi mentioned about the kosel. I'm what they call a walnut. You know what a walnut is? I'm nuts about the wall. I just have to dive in there every day. I just got addicted because the tefillah there is so amazing. And the special minyan inside the kotel. Did you come there in the end? No. It's a special minyan. It's inside. It's like they have, the floor is made of onyx. It costs $1,000 an inch. It's like unbelievable experience. Anyway, so I used to film my shir in Patani time at the Kosel, and one day I'm filming my shir, and I got a little nervous. There was a guy there who looked a little bit strange. Okay, he come and he's heading towards me, and I was giving a very important shir 3 days before Purim about how not to get upset on Purim. Somebody comes into your house and he's drunk. He starts dancing on a table and breaking your windows. Okay. The halacha is you're not really supposed to charge him for damages because in the course of the simcha, I would just get him out of the house quickly, But you're not supposed to get upset with people like that on Purim. Just keep them out of your house. Okay. So this guy was getting closer, and he looked like he hadn't taken a shower in a year. His clothes were all thing. It was getting, and suddenly he screams, "Machshev tamei," which means impure computer. I'm sitting at the Kosel and I have the audacity to be filming a shir. There's no internet in my computer, I use internet, but I was filming my shir with a computer, and he was very upset about that. He made it verbal. Okay, so that was the first stop. But the next stage was that he picked up the computer and he threw it on the floor. Yeah? And there was splat. If you look on shir number 1367, thank Hashem when things were bad, you'll see it ends like that. So, okay. So I'm thinking for a second, here I'm giving a shir about not getting upset with people no matter what they do. And this guy comes and he takes my computer, Baruch Hashem, I had to back up, but with all my stuff, and then throws it off. What should I do? So I said, you know what, I start giving him brachas. I said, you should have incredible health, good health. You should have parnasa. You should have shalom bayis, because you really need it. I feel so bad for your wife, if you're married still. He didn't know what to do with himself. There was a big tzaddik there of Abish. He said, I also want a bracha. Anyway, next day, I get a phone call from Pico Roberts, guy over there who knows me. He said, Rabbi Travis, I saw your shir. You need a new computer. I'm sending you a new computer. So look at that, It looked like my computer was busted, which it was, yeah? But it turned out to be a new computer. It was a blessing in disguise, number one. Number two, I felt so good. I didn't get angry, you know? I had a driver once who used to take me every day to Kolo, and nobody in Israel knew how to drive except for him. Mitum Tam, because everybody's crazy. No one knows how to drive, you know, and only him. I said, Mati, his name was Mati, one day he can have a heart attack, and he did, you know, because too much stress, right? The best thing we could do in our life, and Chazal, if you look at the other side of this card, they gave us such an incredible gift. There's a Lach and Shulchan Aruch. You might not believe me. Is there Mishnah Berurah here? Mishnah Berurah? Chelik Beis? Right? You think I made it up, I put on this card, you know, whatever, you get a card, you make it up. But it's really a Lach and Shulchan Aruch. Like, just like you can't eat basar v'chalav, just like you have to keep Shabbos, there's a Lach and Shulchan Aruch. It's Siman Reish Lamed Sif Hey, yeah? And it's coming over here. Thank you. Right? And it says like this, to me, this is the most important in the entire Shulchan Aruch. Like if you live your life like this, you'll be living in Gan Eden. And it's there on the card. I just want to read it to you, so in case you think I'm making it up. The rabbi said I'm not making things up, so, but I want you to know. Okay, I'm reading a verbal here. Which means a person should always accustom himself to say everything that the merciful one does, he does for good. Which means what? It means no matter what happens to you, it's good. Yeah? It's always, Hashem does things, it's for the good. Now, it does say litav of it, it's going to the good. You might not see it right now, especially if you're on the ground and you just got run over by a car. But the point is, it's going to be good. It's going to be good, and it's heading for good. And it's our job, as I write here on this card, you can take a look here, right? While painful experiences are inevitable, our emotional response to them is in our hands. And that's the halacha. Now, it's true, when it comes to other people, you don't say, Rabbi Travis, oh, guy's suffering. Yeah, he just said everything's good, so what are you complaining for? No. With other people, you have to be empathetic in that. But with yourself, yeah, you should realize everything good. If you do this, your life is so different. Yeah, your life is so different. Because things happen to you. You know, I had a teacher once, he was from England. He says, like water off a duck's back. You ever see water just like kind of cascades down, you know, like the Niagara Falls? Yeah, that's the way you live your life. And in fact, we say in Kriya Shema every day. Every day we say in Kriya Shema, end of the second paragraph. L'man yirbu yameichem v'yamei b'neichem kimei hashamayim al aretz. What does that mean? You guys back there, you look like you're in Yeshiva. Kimei hashamayim al aretz. What does it mean, kimei hashamayim al aretz, you know? You know, Rapam, before he gives smicha, he would say, what does it mean, Yorei o Malkush? Yorei Malkush. And if you didn't answer that question, you could know all of your Adea. He wouldn't give you smicha. Anyone know what Yorei Malkush is? What?
The early rain and the late rain.
Very good. Okay, very good. Get smicha. But you have to know your day also. Okay, so that's the early rain and the late rain. We say it Kriya Shema every day. Yorei Malkush. Right? But okay, so you're smart. So what's Yimei Shemayim Al Aretz? Okay, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry. So, yeah. Kimei Hashemayim Al Aretz means you can have Olam Haba in this world. Kimei Hashemayim Olam Haba Al Aretz in this world. How do you do that? You do it because everything is good. The biggest impetus, what thwarts us most from enjoying life is problems, right? We have this problems, marriage, and children, and your health, and your money, all these things, right? If you understand, okay, it doesn't look so good, yeah? But of it. Yeah? It's all good. Hashem only wants our good, and He's doing good for us. We don't see it right now because we're strapped in the picture. It's like Megillas Esther. Every year after the Megillah, I get 10 phone calls. Rabbi Travis, I sneezed during Megillas Esther. Do I have to hear it again? I coughed. I spaced out for a minute. And because the halacha is you have to hear the whole story, because you have to see everything in perspective. Yeah? Sorry about that. If we don't see it in perspective, then we won't understand it. And my Rosh Shiva, now, by the way, I want to tell you, I made one shidduch in my life. One shidduch, right? But it was a big shidduch. And my wife made 100 of them, just a big shadchan. If you need to get married, you should be in touch with her, right? Usually everything I say is stupid, but it happens to be one time I got it right. And it was Rav Tzvi Kushelevsky. And if you heard recently, so I was an 88-year-old father, right? So he got married to one of my students, yeah? She happened to be 31 years younger than him. Okay, that's a different story, right? But Lamais, he once told me a beautiful mashal about this. There was a king who had a beautiful emerald. It was the most precious stone in the world. And somehow one day it got scratched. his kids came in and they had something you could scratch an emerald with. It's impossible, but kids, they could do it. If they want to, they could do anything. So he scratched the emerald, and the king was distraught. He couldn't believe it. This precious emerald that he has, and now it's scratched. He was just like crying the whole day. One day, an artisan is coming through the kingdom, and he says, I heard about your stone, give it to me. He sits with it for 10 hours. He turns the scratch into a beautiful etching. It's mountains and valleys like here, and streams and trees, and it looks more beautiful. Said Rav Kushlevsky, that is what we have to do with our lives. We get scratches, like by getting run over by cars, choked by gnavim, fires, pneumonia, meningitis, other things which I can't mention here. But they're scratches. But what do you do with those scratches? If you could turn that scratch into an etching, then it's unbelievable. It could become much better. And that's what Hashem wants. Hashem doesn't want us to suffer. Hashem wants us to take the experience of life and use them to grow more and more. And that's why He gives them to Him. And every experience has its place and its time, and the way to turn it into an unbelievable experience, right? Okay, now, everybody's going to say to me, well, you don't know my situation, right? If you were married to my husband, you wouldn't say that. Right? Or, if you had my kids, you wouldn't say that. But it's not true. Because Hashem gave you those kids. She gave you that husband. You gave you this. Okay, it's true. Sometimes you have to get divorced. There's such a thing in the part. But every situation is tailor-made to be the best at that particular moment. And that's something we really have to know. And that's what Chazal teach us. And the more we can internalize it and live by that, the more our lives will be filled with happiness every single minute. We'll just be living in ecstasy in this world. It's unbelievable. Really, it's unbelievable. And there's a lot more to say, right? I said a lot already. It really filters into Pesach, because we have a din in Pesach. It says, Maschil b'gunus u'matzayim b'sheva. We start with how bad it was. We were slaves. We were in Egypt. We were idol worshippers. But it all turned out to be, in the end, to be good. We got out of Mitzrayim, and we have a wonderful holiday, both by Pesach and by Purim. Same sort of stories. Chanukah as well. This is the way Hashem runs the world. And the reason for it is because He wants us to find Him. He wants us to develop a relationship with Him. I'll tell you one more story. My wife, she should be blessed. She once came in at midnight. Yeah, we have different sleeping schedules. I go to sleep at 10, wake up at 2. She goes to sleep at 1. And so she came in at midnight, and she said, I need some medicine from the pharmacy. I said, but I'm sleeping. She said, but I need medicine. Okay, so I'm like, sleeping, medicine, I better go. Okay, so I got dressed. I went to the pharmacy, Baruch Hashem, 24 hours, they're still open. I come home. She said, now I see that you really love me. Yeah, now I proved it, okay? Baruch Hashem, I'm Yotzi for the day. But the point is that Hashem does that every single day. He sends us these tests because He wants to know, like, even when you get run over by a car, or, no, chas v'shalom, no one should get run over by a car. But I was once at a Purim Suda, and there was a big mashkiach there from Yeshiva. He said, Rabbi Travis, I mention my tefillahs every day. I said, yeah, what do you say? God, if you want something, make it more gentle. Don't let me get run over by a car. I'll take get a mosquito bite or something. That's enough for me. But the point is like this. The point is that Hashem is constantly testing us how much we love Him, right? And the greatest sign of love is when it's difficult and you still accept it, right? And this is why the greatest act that was ever done to mankind was the Kedes Yitzchak. Avraham Avinu waited so many years for his child, and Hashem says, "Go sacrifice him." He says, no problem, Hashem, I would do anything for you. Hashem is constantly testing us. And the Zohar says this in Akdama, it's Ches Amud Aleph. Hashem wants complete love. And we only get complete love through tests. That's the way it goes. It's hard and it's difficult. But if you understand you're being tested, and this is what's going on, it makes it much easier, right? Mesil Sharm says it's like a soldier in war. He wants to show, a general wants to show how much knowledge he has of war and fighting the war. So that's my message for today. And it's not easy. Don't think I don't get upset. I always get upset, but less, Baruch Hashem, over the past 30 years or so. It's much, it's harder to catch me. It's true that when I got on the plane, they demoted me in El Al since I had 2 surgeries. They demoted me from silver class, so I had 2 bags, and they said, you're only allowed 1. I said, but I'm silver class. Not anymore, you lost it, So I'm like arguing with the lady at the counter, which is the minhag in Eretz Yisrael, to argue. And she didn't appreciate it so much. So what she do, she ripped up my ticket. She said, you're throwing out the flight. And not only that, she put a thing on the computer, you could never fly El Al again. Okay, I said, that's a problem because I'm supposed to be on Sunday in Tarzana and speak, and then Pico Roberts, and then whatever, Lakewood, I don't know, Passaic, all the places I'm going. So I was very calm about it. I said to her, ma'am, you're the most audacious person I ever met in my entire life, I'm going to go speak to your supervisor. I said it very calmly, though, to her. It was true. But the point is, I went to the supervisor, I said, listen, ma'am, I apologize. I was demoted, I don't know, like that you lose your silver class. I'm so sorry for Atasi Avise Pashati. Maybe you can let me back on the plane, though, because I have to, yeah, no problem, don't worry about it. But these things happen, especially when you're dealing with people who are not in the best mood for whatever reason that might be. And if you have this powerful tool in your hands, this halakha and shulchan aruch, kol ma da'av rachman l'tov of it. It's 6 words. You can say gamzu l'tov also, that also works, although that's a whole shir by itself, why we say this. And the more you get used to it, the more your life will be great, because you won't get upset. And the worst thing, the Arizal says, when you get angry, your neshama leaves your body and it's replaced with fire of Gehenna. You don't want that. That's like terrible, right? So it's really worth it, and that's something you can really benefit by trying to incorporate this halakha. Now, I have this book with me today. It's a novel. I wanted to write a book about all of these things because I've given almost 2,000 shirim on it. But I was thinking, who's going to read a book about suffering and how to deal with suffering and suffering? It's too heavy, Shabbos afternoon after some chillin' to get on the couch and read a book about suffering, pain, agony, it just doesn't seem it's going to work. So what we did is we took it and made it into a novel. We made it into a story, and we put all of the secret, the Torah, we buried it underneath the plot. So it's all here. Baruch Hashem, we got 2,000 letters about it. It really helped people. And the biggest thing is you could see someone growing in this area. And you say, I could also do that. He did it. This guy, Yedidya. He's getting married, by the way, soon. The chasana is next week in Lakewood. But, no, I'm joking. But there's going to be another book coming out soon about his marriage, which is another chapter in dealing with difficulties. But I have these books here. And whoever wants to make a contribution to the kollel. So, Lamaisa, I said I daven at the kollel every day. I will daven 40 days at the kollel for anyone who contributes $1,000. It sounds like a lot, but $85 a month, to the kollel, and it goes to supporting one of the talmidim of the kollel, right? I'll daven you passionately 40 days at the kollel. If not, you can donate whatever you want, whatever you think. If you like the book, if you don't like the book, I'll give you your money back. But everybody liked it. Oh, one person actually didn't like it, so, but he was a jerk. So, anyway, so what can you do? Nobody's perfect. So that's the thing. I'll just tell you a funny story. I had a guy in my call. I was trying to save his marriage. His wife came to me I took him in the call, and I learned Becharusa. This guy was an unbelievable genius. But he just smoked cigarettes in my face, right? And he was a real mushkas. Anyway, so they got divorced, and he calls me and says, "Can I put you on my shidduch resume?" I said, "You can, but I'm going to tell you you're the biggest jerk I ever met in my life." Anyway, so 3 months later, lo and behold, I get a call from this lady about this guy. Yeah, he's the biggest jerk I ever met in my life. Well, that's what I'm looking for, okay? So look, God makes shidduchim. Everybody has their zivug, I'm not getting involved with this. But that's the point. So that's that. Oh, I have another book here. It's called Praying with Joy 4. If you want to have Parnasa B'Shefa, so I found a big secret. It's actually connected very much to what we're saying Parsha Haman every day, raising your perception of Hashem as the one who gives Parnasa. It helps you. You still have to do Ishtadlus, but it makes things go much smoother. Also, thousands of letters about this book. It helped so many people, and so I'm willing to part with these books for, like we said, $1,000, 40 days of the coastal, or whatever you want to give me. It's fine. And I really appreciate that I met Rabbi Horowitz, right, or Horowitz, at the Kosel. And it was interesting circumstances. I did get a little bit upset, because I don't know, I was waiting an hour, for the taxi. Yeah, they say 5 minutes. You have to know in Israel, they have their own language, the taxi drivers. If they say 10 minutes, it's bad news. 10 minutes means we're looking for somebody, B'ezrat Hashem, if you say 3 Pagam Tehillim, maybe we'll find someone, you know. So they told me 10 minutes, and then call again 10 minutes, 10 minutes. But he said 10 minutes ago, another 10 minutes, you know. So whatever it was, but again, like Hashem set it up. So I'm very glad I met the rabbi, and I'm very glad I had the opportunity to be here. And whoever buys the book, I'll also sign it for you. I'll write something nice also, if you ask me to. And Yisrael, Bracha, and Tzlacha. I give a shir every day on this topic. It goes on Turning Time. It's called Thank You Hashem When Things Look Bad. And the idea is that if you learn about the suffering, you don't have to have it. If you're constantly growing in your Emunah, then Hashem makes your suffering much less, because you don't need the suffering. The suffering is like is a way to bring up your Emunah. You can replace it, B'ezrat Hashem, with learning about it. Everyone should have a Chag kosher v'sameach. You should have bracha, tzlacha, and siyata d'shmaya. You should have parnasa b'shefa. You should have health. Your shalom bayis should be great, and your children should be wonderful, and everything should be good. B'ezrat Hashem, we should see you all in Israel soon when Mashiach comes. Amen. Kain Teratzon. Yeah. Any questions? Questions, comments, tomatoes? Anyone? Any questions? Okay. Anyway, any other questions you could ask me privately, or or send it to me. Thank you. Thank you very much.